I'm a punk rocker and I try to be as independent and self-reliant as possible, so I'm learning how to homestead. Welcome to Punksteading. Let's get started. Hey guys, Hannah here, and today we are in my kitchen. It is the end of my work week. I just walked inside and threw my favorite sweatshirt on. It's super rainy and windy and cold outside, and I wanted to be extra super cozy today, so I picked up this really cool looking book. It's Letters of a Woman Homesteader that I'm going to read this evening, and I am making some soup, and that's going to be the start of my super chill weekend. So I wanted to go over kind of the base soup recipe that I use, and today I'm making chicken tortilla soup, which is like a savory, a little bit spicy soup. But especially at the base of all my soups, I usually use like the same 4 ingredients, and then the other ingredients kind of determine what kind of soup I use. So let's get into it. Soup is really awesome because as long as you have your base, you really don't need like a recipe. There are no rules. You can have it brothy, you can have it more like a chili, you can have it whatever. But for my base, I always start with a few cloves of garlic, and I already chopped my garlic, and a whole diced onion. And these are fairly big chunks. Like, I'm not too worried about it being super small chunks because they're gonna cook down anyway. So, there you go. So I got my garlic, onions, and also my extra virgin olive oil. And I'm not going to use too much of this, just a couple tablespoons to get things going in a big old stock pot over here. That's just so the onions and garlic don't stick to the bottom. For my chicken tortilla soup specifically, I also have just a few, because I am a spice weenie. I like the taste, but I don't like the hotness, of just a few little choppies of a seeded jalapeno. So the jalapeno holds all the heat in its seeds, so I chopped up a little bit of a jalapeno and took the seeds out. So that's what this is. So I'm going to go over here to my stock pot, and there we go. Gonna turn this. My stove goes up to 10, so I'm gonna put it on like a 7 right now. So a little bit over medium. Splash 2 or 3, just 2-ish tablespoons in the bottom there. Okay. And then I'm gonna add my garlic, my onions, and my jalapenos in there. And that's gonna start simmering while everything else is going. Or while I'm getting everything else together. That is always, minus the jalapenos, the base of all my soups. I always put a few cloves of garlic and some onion in there. And you can always, do that to taste. If you don't like onions, you don't have to put onions in there. I love onions, I love garlic. They always go in. Just, it brings out the flavor of the other ingredients in there, in my opinion. Getting some big onion chunkies out of there. Cool. So that's going to simmer for a little bit. After that, I am going to get my chicken ready. So this is chicken tortilla soup. I'm going to put some raw chicken in there. This is delicious, organic, free-range chicken from my lovely neighbor. I've got 2 chicken breasts here. Again, you can even 86 the chicken in general, or you could just use 1 if you don't want that much meat in there. Either way, I tend to make big batches of soup, so I can eat on it throughout like the whole week. I am a big believer of leftovers. So what I am doing is just having the breasts, because I'm going to have to fish the meat out a little bit later on to shred the chicken. And if you cut it up, then it takes less time to cook, but you're also going to be fishing more strips out the more you cut the meat. So I usually just half it and wait the time for it to cook. Alright, so that's there. Ooh, it smells oniony and garlicky. Alright, those are sauteing nicely. It's time to add my other things. I've got a quart of chicken broth. And you can use any broth you want. I would love to make my own bone broth one day, but I'm not quite there yet. I'm pouring that over. I'm just going to go ahead and add the whole thing. I really enjoy broth. Some people don't. But I like broth, so I'm going to go ahead and add the whole thing. And then it's time for my veggies. You can use fresh or frozen or canned, it doesn't matter. And again, you can add as many veggies as you want. Set my chicken aside here. So I've got black beans. I've got diced tomatoes. The original recipe called for crushed, but I didn't have crushed, so use what you have. And I have a can of sweet corn. Let's see, this one is a pop top, so is this one. I'm going to go ahead and throw all the tomato juice in there because I do like a lot of the tomato flavor in my soups. There's that. It also gives it a really nice red color. Rinse out my can. There we go. And my black beans. Here it is. Can opener. This one is not a pop top. And you can use your judgment on whether or not to strain these. I usually end up straining my black beans just because it ends up giving the soup a really dark, like gray color, and I'm not a huge fan of that color. But not required to strain your black beans at all. Let's see, where's my strainer? There we go. The sink's just behind you. I'm going to disappear for 2 seconds. Alright. Nice and strained, and I'm going to drip everywhere because I'm a messy cooker. Okay, black beans going in the pot. And I'm going to strain the corn as well. Again, not required, but since this is supposed to be a savory soup and spicy, sweet corn has sweet juices. And I don't want to be fighting a sweet sort of juice against savory chicken broth and spicy spices. Strain those as well. Give it a good shake over the sink. And again, just dump that in. This is such an easy recipe, you guys. Like, if you can buy 3 cans of vegetables, or if you have 3 cans of vegetables on hand, boom, you're good. I probably could have used my smaller stock pot, but this is my soup pot. Yum, yum. Go ahead and show you what I'm working with. Ooh. Maybe the camera didn't fog up too bad, but it's so delicious looking. So all those are in, and I can go ahead and throw my chicken in anytime. Gonna go ahead and do that. Boop. 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 I'm gonna let that chicken sit in there for 20 to 25 minutes, and then I'm gonna check it. So as long as there's like no pink in the middle, you're good, your chicken's done, and you can take it out and you can strip it. And we'll get there. Alright, so now it's time to add my spices. And again, all of this is to taste. I'm not really following a recipe. I had my base recipe for this, I don't know, 2 years ago. I looked at it once and I never looked at it again. Again, the base recipe called for crushed tomatoes. I don't have that. The recipe called for cilantro. I'm not a big fan of cilantro, so just 86 those. The recipe called for a whole jalapeno, and I'm a spice baby. So, I 86 that. It's all about figuring out what you like, and soup is a really, really great way to start cooking from scratch, because unless you like burn the garlic and onions, you really can't mess up. So I'm adding a generous amount of salt and a generous amount of pepper. I love pepper. I'm going to give that a stir. And then I'm going to add my good spices. Cumin, because I always add cumin to my soups. I've not added it to this one before and I didn't really enjoy it. I just add a little bit, a little splash. And then chili powder. Again, I use this one sparingly, but it is supposed to be spicy, so we'll do about 3 shakes in there and taste it a little bit later once that chicken's cooked. Some paprika. That's about 4 shakes. And some cayenne pepper. It's a couple dabs, I can smell it, so maybe I added too much, but we'll be able to fix that a little bit later. Alright, I'm just giving everything a good stir. I don't want to taste test it yet because there's raw chicken in there, but we're going to let that simmer for, like I said, 20 minutes. I'm going to clean up my kitchen here, and I'll see you in 20 minutes. Okay guys, it's been about 20-25 minutes. You can hear my fan going, so I apologize if that's pretty loud, but that's really important for moisture control in here, so it keeps going. I have added another jar of black beans because I decided I needed more black beans, and about another cup of water. I also turned it down from a 7 to like a 3 or a 4 when I noticed it was boiling. So I'm going to fish out my chicken, and I'm going to shred it while probably burning my fingers a little bit. You can wait till the chicken cools down, but I am very impatient. So I'm just going to shred the chicken with a knife and a fork while burning my fingers a little bit. So I got to fish it out of here. This would probably be easier with tongs or like a long fork. I don't have either of those things, so I'm just using my spoon. Where is that last chunk of chicken? Hey, there it is. See what I mean? It's really tough to find. 2 would have been much easier than 4, but oh well. This is my chicken. It looks fully cooked. It's super hot. You can see it's steaming. So I am going to use a couple forks to shred it. And don't worry, I did thoroughly wash the cutting board in those 20 minutes. Get another bowl. Whatever. I did thoroughly wash the cutting board in the 20 minutes that y'all were gone. Don't worry. And I'm literally just going to pull it apart. Maybe there's a simpler way to do this, but I am not fancy, so just going to pull it apart like this, shred it. Don't really care if they're super fine chunks or super chunky chunks. This is how I do it. So my chicken is all cut up, and I'm just going to add that back to the soup. Okay. There's some vegetable chunkies that I poured out with the chicken. I'll add those back. And now that the chicken is fully cooked, it's time for the fun part, which is the taste test. Give everything a stir. I think it needs a little more salt, a little more black pepper, maybe a dash more paprika. I always underspice my really hot soups. Oh yeah, ooh, that's good. I'm gonna have one more secret ingredient, and that is a lime. Limes are not required, but especially if you accidentally get your stuff too spicy, some lemon or lime juice in there will really cut the flavor. Plus, it's a really nice contrast to all those spicy, savory things. I got this at the discount section in the store, so it's a little bit tough. No, we'll just leave that sticker on there, who cares? I'm just gonna squeeze all of that lime juice in there. Oh, taste it. See if we need that fourth one. Again, fresh limes aren't required. If you have lemon juice in a bottle, use lemon juice in a bottle. Or if you don't want any citrus, don't use any lemon or lime at all. This is probably a really bad recipe video because I really don't follow one. You can use pinto beans instead of black beans. You can screw the beans all together and double your corn. It doesn't matter. Soups are such a great dish for experimentation, especially when you're starting from scratch. I learned so much this winter just by trying to get soups down pat, and I feel like I've got a pretty good grasp on it. Ooh, that's good. I don't think I'll add that last one. Alright guys, that is it. The last thing you want to do, again, optional. I got an avocado. I'm going to cut this avocado up and put some strips over my bowl of soup. So when I ladle my bowl, I'm just going to put some avocado in there. And since this is chicken tortilla soup, some tortilla chips. Alright, bye guys.